Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Endgame. This episode is going to be about emergencies in VR. Woo!
Yay!
Woo-hoo!
All right.
Somebody call 911.
Let's get it.
Okay. They're just quoting a song.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Endgame. This episode is going to be about emergencies in
How optimistic and
VR.
pessimistic we are. And it's meant to be a big group discussion. Hey, Eve. And so we're hoping you're going to get involved. Oh, I don't know if you said it during the announcements, but if you have something to say, come line up in front on this disc. And this is how you get like the attention of the room. And then you can like line up behind that person. So how's it going, Psych? How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I don't know. We're still here.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the camera to come around and see us. He's doing like this dramatic pan of the whole crowd.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, before we get into the main topic, we want to do the community spotlight, right?
Yes.
And so let's have Dr. Morty come up towards the front. So don't get too close to the stage because it'll zap you.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. So hey, Dr. Morty, how optimistic are you about how things are going to go here, or how do you feel about the future just in general?
For well, 50% optimistic, I'd say, in a good day.
So you give us a 50-50 shot.
Yeah, on a good day. Yeah. Today
That seems lazy. Can you not lean one way or the other? Can you give 51% in some direction?
Yeah, towards not so good of a future, I'll say.
Oh shit. Okay.
He's in my camp.
Yeah,
Yay.
sorry.
Start prepping
Sorry,
now.
yeah.
Yes.
The future is what we make it, and if you all turn into preppers, then you will have fucked us. And everyone who's dreaming of a better future is going to have everything taken away by you. If you have to join the dreaming side.
Yeah. My water filter get me through. We'll do an episode on prepping, and then we'll be able to talk more about
Well, but I'm not prepping either, so.
Yes.
All right, good. Is there anything that you're sort of excited about, like for the next 100 years? Or like, what can you imagine?
I mean, I hope in terms of our society, I hope we can get along better. I hope we can find a way to just forget about our differences and just be together as one. I mean, not
Do you
only
think
as, I don't think it's possible, but I hope.
You don't think it's possible?
No.
Do you think that's the main hurdle?
I mean, I think we're some people are too different. So I'm like, I hope it could be possible, but as of right now, and the way we are going, I don't see it as possible. There's a lot of things that I think that need to change in order to be possible.
Do you think if some of those things change, and I'm curious to hear what they are, like that we could get, not that we'll all be one and kind of, in harmony, but that we can get closer to that?
Yeah, I think we can get closer, but I mean, in an ideal world, we would all be together, for me at least.
Yeah.
I don't see that, like, I don't know, maybe in 100 years it could be possible. Right now, I don't see that we're going that way.
Do you think we're in a particularly rough time with social media and like the way that things have sort of been cropping up and the way that, the extremes are getting really loud? Or do you think that's just innate in us that we're not going to get along? Like it's not a problem of technology, it's just a core human issue?
Now, in terms of the extremes, I think that sometimes they are the loudest, but they are not sometimes, I don't think they are the biggest group.
Yeah, I'm getting that now.
That's a good point.
It doesn't seem like that because that's all I hear is sort of like really extreme views, but I think you're right.
And that's what
we heard. The negative is the loudest, and you think that's what most people think, and maybe it's because the people that are happy or agreeing, or they don't express their point of view.
That's
Do you think do you think we lean negative in the extreme because just in our psychology because like we're sort of, I don't know, evolutionarily more primed to like react to negative stimulus and like get away, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's like a representative bias basically that we have. So like we're exposed to more of the negative stuff in the news and things like that. So it's more salient in our minds. So it's easier to focus on. And I think you're making a great point, Dr. Morty, that if people are happy, then they're not really tweeting about things that much, or it's not making the news. It's like, when's the last time you heard in the news that someone was like had a great day and breaking news on Fox 5 or what, it's like that never happens. So we always hear about the bad things. So yeah, I think that can make us perceive things to be worse. And I think VR is actually bringing us closer together, and it's connecting unusual like groups that might not meet each other in real life, so that we can recognize that we all have similar interests and maybe do some of that uniting. So yeah, I guess for you, Dr. Moore, like what technologies do you think are going to facilitate? Do you think that technology is going to be a role for that, or is that going to be?
Well, I think that here in VR chat, technology is already bringing us a lot closer. We get to have these conversations. We get to discuss and maybe agree or disagree, but we get to have the conversation. I think that's a huge step forward.
Yeah,
I think it's a pivotal moment. I think like virtual reality will be looked back on, or at least social virtual reality will be on the map of like how we've sort of changed culturally and like the big moments in society. So like we heard a couple of interesting things about you the other night. I'm hoping you're willing to talk a little bit about it. So like one of them was that,
yes.
Did you say you spent 50 hours in VR
hours,
chat,
yeah.
or was that in a headset, or was that in VR chat just on desktop mode?
Desktop, my computer, yeah. I couldn't use the headset.
What happened? Like, what can you describe that experience a little bit? Like how you were feeling maybe towards the tail end of it?
Well, I think at around I don't know. By the way, I stayed awake the whole time. For people that don't know, yes. So I think at around.
So for 50 hours you were awake on VR chat, just
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, minus some crashes and having to get some food. I stayed awake and on VR chat. Yeah, I think at around 43, 44, I stopped talking because it's a little bit like being drunk. So I would say the first thing that came to my mind, and that sometimes it's not the best thing for me.
So it was just wiser to. Are you drunk right now, Ghoster? Fine.
So yeah, but I mean, the cool thing is that I get to meet people from around the world all the time. I know their schedules. I know when the Australians come online, when the Europeans, so that's kind of cool. But I don't know if it's something that I'm attempting to do again.
Would you recommend it?
Yeah.
I think you have to at least do it once. I mean, not 52 hours, just, try to stay the most amount.
Wait, what happens afterward? Like, does your perception of reality change in any way? Like, are you sort of, like, when you finally look away from the computer, have your senses changed, or does it seem the same?
No, it changes a little bit. All the time with the headphones, you could, just looking at the window, it was completely different because I spent most of the time looking at a screen. Yeah, it was. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's not that the real world is any different, but there's a difference in it. Like I had to go to buy some things, and I was like, yeah, I wish I could open a portal right now. You know, things like that. And you're like, why did I think that's completely nonsense? But when you're awake that long, you start thinking those things, and you're like, yeah, I wish I could do that. But it's like a completely genuine thought that you have.
And
But
so I guess, why can't you be in VR also? I think that's an interesting thing before we start.
yeah, so I was going to say suffer, but I don't really suffer except when I was wearing VR headset. I have something called Alice in Wonderland syndrome, and it sounds made up. I know it's not. There's not a lot of people that have it. I think there's not a lot of information about it, but it's a problem with perception. It's not in the eyes. It's a problem with the brain. I think there's like too much electricity and blood flow, and basically it's like I'm watching whatever I'm looking at. It can become really small and far away, or really close to me and big. If and sometimes both things at the same time. So it's really weird. And what happened when I was using, I had the Oculus Rift. What happened when I was using it is that when I had one of those episodes, instead of looking at whatever it was in the screen, larger or smaller, I would see the pixels. So suddenly I would have different colors of pixels shifting all the time, turning into small and big, and I would get nauseous, I would get dizzy, and I would get a migraine. I tried to use it for a while, but the thing is the migraine stays for a couple of hours, so I would have to get off VR chat and just try to relax. Finally one day I got so dizzy, I decided to power through it and ended up puking. So that's when I decided to not use it anymore and sell the headset. Yeah, I hope that
must be hard.
I hope that if there's a screen with higher resolution in the future, maybe the Vive Pro, I don't know, maybe that could be better. But yeah, as of right now, I have the computer to be able to use it. I have the space, I have the means to buy it, but my brain just doesn't want me to use it.
I mean, that's really unfortunate because, like, we're all excited about VR and everything. I feel like the resolution will help if it's a perception problem. I don't know. I doubt that Vive Pro is going to make the difference, right? Like, the resolution has to get to a point where you're not seeing the really pixels anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at least in the meantime, like, you're able to get into VR chat, right? And it seems like you enjoy this place anyway, just in desktop mode.
Yeah.
Because you still get to socialize and everything.
Yes, the experience is different. I don't get to move, but yeah, I still enjoy it.
That's good.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. And I think at some point we should just talk, like, it's on the list of things of, like, people with different accessibility, different issues. How we're going to all come together and live in the space together.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah, we'll do an episode.
So also the Alice in Wonderland, the Alice in Wonderland syndrome thing, it's really sometimes triggered by lack of sleep. And since I'm usually awake for, so for people that don't know, apart from staying awake once in a while for 50 hours, I don't follow a 20-hour sleep cycle when awake. I'm usually awake for at least 30 to 35 hours for me it's every day. And I sleep for about 5. And that also helps trigger these events of difference in perception. For people that have...
That also gives you...
for people that have Alice in Wonderland syndrome, they could have one episode every month. I have one every 2 days. So that's...
Does it always come with that migraine, like even now?
No, that happens once in a while. Like yesterday when I was talking to you guys, I was having an episode and it was fine. But sometimes, yeah, it comes with a migraine. They are linked, so it's usually after the episode ends, I would get a migraine. But with VR chat with the VR headset, the migraine was much more intense.
Well, I'm glad you're along for the ride. I'm glad that you're able to be here in desktops, and continue to socialize with us and, be a part of the kind of changes that are happening.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I'm curious about one thing. Like when you had an episode, when you had the Oculus, were there like people around you? Like did they? I'm curious how they like related to today's topic, like how they would respond to you if you're having some kind of distortion or whatever.
No, I would just start. I would try not to move and try to look at something that wasn't moving. But yeah, I would just take the headset off as fast as I could. So it looks like I was going AFK. It's not something. I mean, for me it was bad, but it's not something that I really need help to. If I closed my eyes, it would help a little bit, but it's not something that you would notice that it was happening to me while I was what it was happening to me. It's not something that I show when it's happening to me. It's something in my brain, so not doesn't have any physical. I don't know how to call it. Doesn't show really.
Okay, yeah. All right, well, yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for sharing. Let's transition into the main topic. So I think I would like to start there with like, I became interested in this whole idea from seeing that seizure video. So do we want to sort of give like a brief description for anybody who hasn't seen that? Was that like about a month ago? When did that happen?
I think so. Was that about a month ago? Yeah. And basically the person had it seems like they kind of had a seizure. Everyone was just kind of hanging out and everything, and this person got on the ground and was kind of shaking and making noises, and people really didn't know what to do, and people kind of went up. At first people didn't acknowledge it, but then as more and more people started to realize it was a serious situation, people crowded around, and most people were saying, is there anything I can do to help, or like, are you okay, and everything, and they kind of felt powerless. It kind of highlighted this powerless situation of someone having a medical emergency in VR, but there was almost nothing to, what do you actually do about that? And those kinds of things. Was that kind of your?
How did you feel about the response? Like, I think you were kind of positive, right? Like,
I mean,
people sort of responded well.
I think it takes a lot of power to break a social situation. Like if you walk into a room and there's all mayhem going on, people are talking in this corner and that corner, it takes a lot for everyone all of a sudden to become quiet and centered and focused around one thing that's occurring. I think the fact that happened so quickly shows that there was like this kind of wave of general concern or interest that went around, that everyone kind of gathered around the person and focused on it. And not my interpretation was the attention was positive, but I'm curious, what you think, and maybe what other people think too about the reaction.
I was a little bit more negative, but it sort of flew in the face of everything I was reading from everyone else, and most people were because this was also on the heels of the Ugandan Knuckles thing sort of really peaking, and VR chat becoming sort of like this horrible joke of like it's just this chaotic meme, and so then this thing happened, and it was like, oh look, people can stop memeing. And they can be quiet for 10 minutes and try, like, at least try to take seriously like a situation. It's sort of happened. Like I felt from watching the video, there were a couple of people that took it seriously. The majority, it took them quite a while. And even towards the end, there's still fucking memers in there and people who are like running up to the person. There was one person who was wearing some kind of crazy avatar that had like a lot of blinking lights. Yeah, and like I found it so frustrating that person didn't run away or switch their avatar. Like maybe they were completely unaware. And I saw a comment that it's unlikely that the seizure was like a photosensitive thing. Like that's only 3% of seizures, or I don't know statistically how likely it was like a photosensitivity. But I think you just have to assume, right? Like even if it's a really unlikely chance, if something like that is happening. We have this fucking helmet on our head that is like when I walk up to you,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's obnoxious, and like just waving my hand in front of you can give you a lot of like crazy imagery very quickly, and
Yeah.
if you're sensitive to it, that could be really bad.
And no one
and so
studied
I was
this,
disappointed.
probably, like inducing seizures with virtual reality and the
Oh,
differences.
wait, how? I haven't read anything about it. Like, is it a common like? Is this any worse than watching television as far as like people who are
Actually, I don't
photosensitive?
know. Yeah, we'd have to ask seizure researchers who do research on these, because there's probably, but I know that stimuli can induce different things. Seizures being one of them, psychotic breaks being another, panic attacks, potentially a heart attack if someone gets stressed enough and they're, have the right risks. I mean, there's all sorts of medical emergencies that could happen. Like pretty bad. I think actually this kind of non-fatal seizure, and he was okay afterwards, is very lucky. It's very rare that like someone would be thrown on the ground and very ill, and then I mean a seizure is one of those things that kind of explains that. But is pretty scary, I think, to see that overall.
So we threw this topic out to Discord, and a couple of people talked about it, and they kind of quickly jumped to like, what should VR chat do, and what should the responsibilities of the platform be, and look into the future. We can get there, but I'm sort of more curious just immediately today, like, what should we do in general in these situations? Like, if it happens tomorrow where I'm in a room and something like that's happening, what's like the best way to react? Like, I feel like my priorities would be to like try to calm other people down and give room to the person that's suffering from whatever the problem is, because I think this is probably worse than television or looking at a computer screen, because it's attached to your face. And so if something happens, you fall down, it's still on your face, and whatever imagery there is it's like, and you might not be in the right mindset to like close your eyes or whatever. Like you might be stuck with this, with whatever this information is like flowing into your mind. And so we just have to take that into account and sort of, I don't know, take it as seriously as possible, even if it's like somebody who might be trolling, or it might be a joke, whatever. I think no matter what, we sort of just have to take it seriously and give room and sort of try to calm the whole room down, right? Like I that's the only thing I can imagine that we should actually do at this point.
Yeah, that's exactly what my mind went to. I mean, I'm curious what other people think too, but my mind went exactly to when you were asking the question, that people can focus on changing other people's reactions to the situation. Like there's two things. One is like, you can try to help the person if it's some kind of crisis or something like that, like directly talking to them. Although that can get tricky depending on the type of crisis it is. But we can all talk to other people and say, hey, stop, or like exert some peer pressure on other people who might be making the situation worse or facilitating the negative situation that's creating contributing to the medical emergency, that you can tell people, to back off. And that if multiple people did that, like if 2 or 3 people in the seizure video said to the people who were memeing, hey, stop, we need to take this seriously, something's happening, all of a sudden the meme person, but everyone, it's like the antithesis of the meme, the reaction. It's like people are like, hey, let's be serious, and like they're completely rejected, and they have to change their behavior in order to be socially accepted into that situation again. So I think that's a really good way that we can pressure people.
I don't know if I'm being too pessimistic, but like I have a feeling that like you won't be able to get 100% of people. Like I feel like there are some people that are so detached from the experience that's happening here, and it doesn't seem like real life, and so it doesn't count, and so like their behavior doesn't matter, and so anything you say might not affect them. I assume you just try to vote kick them in that case. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the other thing that you mentioned, like, so we can quiet down the room and then we can talk to them. Like, I think that is extremely valuable, because if you're going through some kind of emergency and you have this headset on, like, though we can't physically do anything, like we sort of feel helpless, we do have this communication, like, and that can be extremely valuable for someone who's like going through a crisis, I imagine, because you could get very confused, right? Like who knows where your mind might go in that moment, and just someone who's sort of talking to you calmly and trying to assess the situation. And even if we don't have any expertise or we don't know what to actually do, just trying to establish some kind of communication, I think, is helpful, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's helpful to talk to the other people and try to communicate with them. It just depends on the situation. I mean, I don't know what kinds of situations people think are most likely, um, like to happen. Like what kind of emergencies should we be prepared for, and those kinds of things.
Has anyone seen anything else, like either in person or just like a
Oh
video
yeah,
besides that one seizure video? Like, I guess
like
it's
any
not
negative
super. Or chemistry?
friends.
Do
I see
you?
you raising your hand, or
If you could, if you want, if you could share, maybe come up to the middle.
yeah, friends. You want to come up and then yeah.
Yeah, so, well, I guess, okay, I'm friends, by the way.
Oh, we have a
Aw.
okay, guys.
Yeah,
We have a
guys.
spammer. Let's see. I don't know what to do about this.
Yes, I can't access my menu. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So you have to Alt F. What's the quit VR chat? Control F4, I think, or something like that.
I guess.
Alt F4 and then rejoin Endgame public room.
Okay.
Forgot I was in that level.
Ghoster. Hey. That was you with the music?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
the
forgot I
sword,
was in that
yeah.
avatar. I'm sorry.
I can't see you, Ghoster. It just says queued, and you got a big loading bar. Yeah, rip. Rest of
All
pepperoni.
servers are taking a dump right now.
Endgame. Wednesday, 7 p.m. Oh. Hey, what, are they doing it right now? How many people were in the lobby?
Basically, we had someone take over all our screens and flash something, but I've explained, and when we get to the next world, I'll explain that there's an admin that can instantly ban the person if they do it again. Just to, put some clarification to them that if they do it again, they'll just
Is everybody here okay? Like, I don't know.
I'm
like,
good, man. It didn't even hit me.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Like, honestly, like, it was just a cheap, like, trick, and it's just, like, I don't know. Like, what do you do about that? Like,
Well, I think we're going to talk about it. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think
it was
I,
as well. So
sorry, what?
Ghoster, are you still streaming?
I think I actually found out who he was as well.
Yeah, I think it's.
Is Gunter in here?
I think he said.
That's stupid.
I can't. Why can't I invite him to this instance? Do you want to try to invite him? He doesn't have.
I don't know. Like sometimes if he is in like a private room, you can't invite him. But
he's in a.
We were in a public room. Shoot, he didn't walk through the portal. Okay, I sent him an invite.
All right, cool.
Okay, well, so I'm gonna have to cut that out of the stream because I don't want to put that out there. So let's explain what happened. We'll just cut to this point in the show, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, someone I guess put a message up that covered our screens saying they hope that we have a seizure. So that, I mean, I think this gets into an interesting area of the conversation. He kind of, I guess, prompted this. Well, one is I think the psychology of someone who does that is interesting. I think that they're actually wanting a lot of attention, and that it actually is a sign of vulnerability, that they really want people to care about them. So
I'm curious.
It's kind of sad,
I'm curious
but
how aware they are. Like, I assume that can be an actual very dangerous thing to flash onto someone who is like.
What if someone had a seizure? Yeah.
Yeah, you could actually cause real
you could
damage.
Report that.
Did you already talk about it's still Invite Plus, and that's how they got in. So.
Oh, should we be in regular invite?
Hey.
I think so. Now that happened, because
okay.
Invite that person in. Yeah.
Okay, should I just do that right now?
Portal time! Woo! Thanks, guys. We appreciate your patience. Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
I got here a little later.
There's always gonna be idiots.
Thanks, all boys.
I mean, even invite. I don't know. Even invites might be a problem.
Oh, just stupid people.
I know. Yeah, this is dedication. Thank you, guys.
I was, really. I've been worried since the hacking stuff. Like that was that one episode we were worried we were going to get hacked or something.
I know we made it through. Well,
we made it all through
okay.
all that.
I think honestly, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's like we'll deal with it, and
yeah, everybody's okay, right? Like, that might actually affect somebody, in here. So, it might be an issue.
I had to peel because of that.
Did feel really weird.
Yeah. And I saw on the
we got
chat
that.
there was actually a guy named that, and he's saying owned, stuff like that. So
it may or
interesting.
May not happen.
What happened in Yamano?
I took screenshots.
Cool. Yeah, so Eve needs to invite, you know how to invite, who to invite. What were you saying?
She made it. Yeah,
Well, Ron requested an invite through me, and I did the accept thing.
Oh, hey, Eve.
And I think that meant Namano could have accepted it, but maybe Namano got summoned instead.
He might have crashed.
And he might have crashed, yeah.
Oh, he's in the hub. Yeah, he's in the hub public. He'll be here momentarily. I guess this is all part of technology, you know. It's and people who crave desperate human connection who have no other ways to get it. But you know what? There are other ways. I promise. You can try to make friends in VR chat, and it'll be a much better feeling of authentic pleasure than trolling people. But what do I know? But yeah, I'm glad everyone's okay. That was kind of nerve-wracking just to think that, you know. But I think, you know, Nemona's point, only 3% who have people who have seizures are even affected by that kind of stuff, so it's very low likelihood. And
can you invite anybody, Sai?
I can ask Nomono to accept their invites, but I guess I should wait to do that because Nomono's not in here.
Yeah, chemistry wants in.
I think, okay, now Nomono has asked me to invite him here. So, so, all right, I'm gonna make one more instance.
Oh, jeepers.
5th time's a charm.
Ghoster? Oh, you're still here, Ghoster? Are you still streaming, Ghoster? Okay, cool.
All right, let's do it again. Woo! But yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting question of like, what, you know, what if someone did cause a seizure? Like, is there, I mean, I guess some people hide their IP addresses, but like, can they be legally responsible if someone hurt them, you know, got hurt that way? Do you guys think that I don't know. I mean, does anyone have thoughts on that?
Sounds good to me.
I think they should
Yeah.
really be responsible for that, but I highly doubt there's any way of finding him or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of hard to pinpoint. Yeah, it's kind of hard to pinpoint somebody's exact location, what they're doing via like just an online thing. So it's kind of hard to like, you know, make sure that the person that did it is actually get punished.
It's sort of the thrill of just getting away with stuff, even if it like causes harm to other people. You know, like they don't really think about other people like in their, you know, how it may affect them. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we did that whole episode on trolling, so I guess, yeah, that's...
It could also be
going back on that,
purposely doing it. Like, they acknowledge what they're doing is wrong, but they do it anyways because that's what they enjoy doing. There's those kind of people, too.
Yeah, kind of sadism, narcissist, you know, yeah.
Yeah,
antisocial.
I was actually able to find out who did it online, like which you did it, and I saw his YouTube.
So, can you invite Ron and Gunter?
Is it just VR videos or is it other trolling?
No,
stuff?
it's mostly just everything.
And chemistry.
Oh, they get around apparently.
Oh no, chemistry's here.
made it in.
Hey, Dr.
I think I accepted all theirs.
Hey, actually, did Freeman make it in? Do you know? Is there a Freeman around here somewhere?
I like it.
I friended him.
I like it.
Feature that's coming out, that's going to be cool. But I want to ask you not to stream. Are you still streaming, Psych? And is anybody
I'm
going
not
to disagree
streaming.
with that? Okay.
That's fine with me.
Or Ghoster or whatever, you know what I mean? The streaming.
Can
this
you
room.
keep recording though, and we can cut this out or whatever.
What happened?
Yeah, definitely keep the recording because that's what really matters, right? The stream is fine to lose that for a day.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Zerny and Fell also need invites.
Okay.
And Ron.
Oh, good.